Nick Saban testing positive, an inopportune time with the simple fact that it's one of their biggest games of the year. It's a 2-3 matchup. They're facing Georgia. What was your reaction when you heard this news? Because I know you have a relationship with him.
Well, my first reaction was just praying and wishing him all the best. I do have a relationship with them to some degree. I've spoken at his program twice, once in person and obviously one virtually. I'm incredibly fond of Nick Saban and the folks at the Alabama program, and I'm wishing him and the athletic director obviously a speedy recovery, nothing but the best of health. And I'm always here if they need me. They know that. Having said all of that, this is not like the NFL. Like at the NFL, when I was talking about the players and some of the choices that they have made, let's understand that with college football, that is a different challenge. And I don't think anybody can accuse Nick Saban of not putting forth the necessary due diligence when it comes to his players and their program. I personally know of extensive safety protocols that they have engaged in to ensure the well-being of everybody involved. So the fact that he still ended up with something, that's kind of scary. Because you're thinking about wearing the mask,
he's
engaging.
So disciplined, buttoned
he's
up.
disciplined,
his program is
and not exactly. And he's been supportive of the players and what have you with their social justice issues and things of that nature, which Paul has come on this show and highlighted in the past, Paul. But in the end, what it comes down to at this particular moment in time, knowing his discipline, knowing his focus, and knowing how much he cares about ensuring the well-being, not just of the kids, but his entire program, his coaching staff, people that work in the athletic department, the list goes, the football department, the list goes on and on. For him of all people to come down with a positive test, it just shows you that any of us are susceptible. None of us are immune to it. And so when you see that and you witness that, obviously your first initial concern was him. He's 68 years old. You all right, coach? Everything's okay? And he's asymptomatic at this particular moment in time, doesn't have any symptoms per se. But I'm just praying that it stays that way and this will subside. My number one thing is making sure is hoping and praying that he's okay, that his athletic director is okay. But obviously, there's a level of concern that should elevate in all of our eyes because there are very few of us on this planet that I believe is more disciplined and focused than Nick Saban. And if he can find himself in this position, any of us can.
Max?
Yeah. First of all, just because you take precautions doesn't mean you can't get it. The virus is all over the place. So what you do is you lower the odds that you get it, and I'm sure he did. It seems like he has, and yet he got it anyway. So I totally co-sign what you just said, Stephen A. It's a good thing for us all to keep in mind. And then I thought, Nick Saban is 68 years old, pushing 70 years old. And this seems to be even more serious for older people, right? We always talk about the elderly and people with underlying conditions. And 68, you're not a spring chicken. And so you worry about Coach, of course. And you feel like you know him. I don't have a relationship with Nick Saban other than on TV. When I talk to him, on TV. And yet because he's been in my consciousness for so many years now, and you feel like you know him, just as someone who follows college football, someone who's aware of popular culture, your heart goes out to him. You think, come on, Coach, get better, especially because he's older. And then I start to think, and Nick Saban looks in pretty good shape, but if you are famous and rich and you get a certain level of care, the president, who's also overweight, gets cutting-edge care and makes it through. But that's not most people who can afford to or have access to the kind of care Nick Saban will have access to. And so I find myself thinking, oh, thank God, I'm so happy that Nick Saban will have, you would suppose, top-notch care and that will increase his odds that he's fine. Phew. And then I think, yeah, but because I feel like I know Nick Saban, I feel that way, right? But there are literally millions of people in the country who have it and hundreds of thousands who have died, and many of them do not have access to that kind of care, and that's another thing that came to mind.
Paul.
Well, yeah, Molly, I mean, everything has been that Stephen A. and Max has said is true about Nick Saban. I mean, and that's what shocked everyone yesterday when this story broke about 5:45. I mean, you have the biggest game of the year. It's not just Nick Saban and some garden variety team. It's Nick Saban versus Kirby Smart, probably the closest coach out there to Nick Saban, on the biggest stage Saturday night. And he has done everything, but what he couldn't avoid was get on a bus, stay at a hotel, go into meeting rooms, and none of us know, as all of you have so eloquently said, and that's the scary part. And he's 68, he'll be 69 in 16 days, and yes, that is the age that you start to really worry about. So I think the concern is well thought out, and Saban did everything he could yesterday to calm everyone down. I mean, he looked good. I was on that call, as many others were, and he was laughing, he was joking, but that was early in the process. We don't know what's going on today. And by the way, he'll be tested every day. People are wondering, can he get to the game? Can they put him in a box? Well, if he has another positive test, he's done. He's not getting anywhere near Bryant-Denny Stadium. And on top of that, guys, he's not going to be allowed to coach from home based on protocol. Now, well, is anyone going to be monitoring it? Is there going to be a spy in his Wi-Fi at home to stop him from communicating? I doubt it. And I'm betting that he is communicating somehow, some way. But it does cast a pall on not only that game, but on the college football season. We've already seen 2 games in the SEC postponed this week, including the LSU-Florida game, which was gargantuan. That was the game that Dan Mullen wanted to pack the swamp. He wanted 89,000 people there, Max, and now nobody's going to be there because he has 21 players on his team and a couple of assistants who have the virus. So, as everyone has said for almost 7 months now, it takes no prisoners.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.